Everyone, thank you for joining me. Welcome to AKAPAD's Audio Audacity, and welcome to our annual special event, the 31 Days of Dread, where we do one horror movie a day for the entire month of October. This is day 24, and we're talking CHUD. Let's hit that intro. Hello. What is up, everybody? Hey, I'm Peter A. DeLuca. I am back. I think we got a little too much gains here. Let's turn some of this down. Get a little bit better with the sound. Okay. Hey. We're talking a 1984 real cult movie. We're talking CHUD. CHUD. Cannibalistic Underground Humanoid Dweller. It's an acronym. It's an acronym created for this movie. And, I want to say maybe throughout my life, I've seen this movie maybe 4 times. This could have been the 4th time. The first time I saw this movie, I remember watching it with my mother. I was a kid. And, this movie doesn't have major violence. It doesn't have major nudity. It's not like our next movie. It's not like Return of the Living Dead, which embraces, the rating system. This movie is tense. There's an urgency, and there's also like a desperation to this movie because, we have something happening, and we have our characters who are, trying to be good people, trying to save the day, and we have politicians and bureaucrats in their way. It's trying to block their every movement. So there's again that paranoia that runs through this movie. Now, that's interesting. The plot isn't deep. It's really not. The plot is this: the city, the government, they were doing something bad. They dumped toxic waste. And, homeless people started to turn into these almost like they're not exactly zombies. They're chuds. They're these hyper, and they feed on people. And there we go. Now, the 80s toxic trope is a legit thing. We'll see this with our next 2 movies. Actually, we'll see this on day 25 with Return of the Dead, and we'll see this in the 1979, I'm saying 79, it might have been 1978, movie called The Prophecy. These are all environmentally driven movies, and this was big in the 80s. Now, more so than now. See, toxic waste freaked out a lot of people when they learned about it, and it it affected culture. These movies are warnings. Now, it's kind of funny because, we're still dealing with the environment today. And I watched this movie and I'm thinking this is a totally, just when it comes from the environment, there's other points of view that correlate with this. But this movie is a progressive movie. This movie is pro-abortion, pro-choice. This movie is for, it's anti. It's not for objectifying women. So we really have third wave feminism here too. This was all done in 1984, and this is also done by first timers, only timers, and by that I mean Douglas Cheek. That's who directed this movie. That's our boy. This is our visionary. He really doesn't have much to his credit when it comes to directing. It's this and 2 other movies. He's more of an editor than a director. And maybe along the way, he found what he was good at. I can see that. And then we have Parnell Hall. Parnell Hall, I'm thinking, all right, history, career, screenplays, journeyman. Nope. Mystery writer has only 1 screenplay to his name, which is CHUD. So this movie immediately becomes special like that. Like we're almost like in the fourth tier down now. Why it's special. Now, here's number 5. We have John Hurt and Daniel Stern. Actor still going to this day. I'm sorry. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure they're still going. I apologize if they're not. By that I mean alive. Yeah, career actors. John Hurt in Big. He's the I don't get it guy from Big. Daniel Stern. We know him, Home Alone. These guys have been through everything. They've been through the mill, and they're legit, and they're both fantastic in this movie. They play into the paranoia. They play into the danger. Now, this movie moves in stages. It moves in a way that few movies today move. I mean, we're maybe 40 plus minutes into the movie, and we're still learning about our characters. We're still learning about the plot. We're still seeing the mechanics of the story. And then, people start going underground to find these things, to save people. People, start dying. Monsters start coming out of manholes. Cats and dogs living together. It's chaos. And it's just fun. Like this movie, I remember so much of it when I was younger. Like from that last stretch, from that last 30, 40 minutes of this movie. Now, the other times I saw this movie, I guess every time I watched this movie, it was almost like I watched it for the first time, because I remember the design of the creatures. I remember the sewer stuff. I remember, like some of the darkness that this movie has. I don't remember every time, I sat down to watch this, didn't have any kills to re-experience, because that's what horror is all about. You want to rewatch the kills. None of that. Because this movie is character driven. This is character first, and people but you can't sit down and say that, oh, they used to make them like this. No, this is still a low budget movie, according to Wikipedia. It's 1.25 million. This movie gross roughly made 4 million, so profitable, good for everyone. This is still a low budget movie. This is still a movie without full resources. This is also what makes it good. But we cannot say that movies today should be made like this, because movies today know how to get to the point quicker. They know how to set it up. They know to maybe even give what to give the audience in the first couple minutes. Could this movie have done a little bit more? Could this movie had a little bit more of an opening narration or opening scroll to set this movie up? Could there have been a new story type flashback? Yes. But it doesn't take away from this movie. I just think filmmakers today, even for movies like Slender Man and Bye Bye Man, which were completely trashed, they're a little bit more sneaky with the information. I think a little bit better with it. But this movie has so many strong scenes. There's a scene where John Hurt and Daniel Stern are arguing with the city board, boardroom, local officials type setting, trying to convince these people, trying to outtalk them, trying to get them to listen, because people are going to start dying. And look, and this movie is also a commentary on homelessness and the people who care about strangers, and try and help strangers, and try and be there for them. This is a very deep movie. I would say of all these cult, and I put cult in quotes, because so many movies today are labeled cult that really aren't. If you have endless t-shirts, endless prints, action figures made of your movie, and I would not say it's a cult movie. I wouldn't even say Toxic Avenger, which is a part of this 80s environmental stretcher. You know, like that's one of the linchpins of 80s environmentalness. Toxic Avenger is not cult. I would say he's mainstream. The Warriors mainstream. And like it's a pretty good list. But this movie is protected. It's protected. There's hardly any merchandise. There's no comic books. Like no one came in, got the rights, and did like a CHUD 3 or reinterpretation of this. This movie does not have any remakes or reboots. This movie exists solely in 1984. And because of that, this is one of the most special movies we've ever done here for the 31 Days of Dread. I'm talking all 3 years. And, it needs to be paid attention to, needs to be paid homage to. Now, a lot of times, like when I recommend movies, I'm 50-50 because, I do believe people go in to see a movie today, even when they're at home. Like they sit down and, I think their point of view, I think where they're coming from might be too, there might be too much noise there, and they may not receive the movie the way that I have. And there's always like a little bit of trepidation when I do that. But I would say this is one of those movies you just have to watch. You have to experience it, and I recommend a few times. You really do have to see this movie a few times to start to let the nuance sink in and let the character sink in. And look, and when I say it's character driven, I just mean these characters have more than one moment to shine, and they're interacting with one another and they're crossing paths, and they're coming together and they're breaking apart. It's that, and that's kind of what makes it fun. Now, this movie too also suffers from convenience. There's a lot of convenience in this movie. One of our main characters, her basement is like the doorway to the CHUD's lair. Okay, but here's the thing: when you make movies and you figure this stuff out, you have to have scenes like that. You have to have moments like that to kind of cut through the chase to get characters in a certain place quicker and a little bit cleaner. So you might go back and set it up a certain way and have it pay off. Again, that's part of the fun of movie going and just sitting down and soaking it in and checking things out. So for 1984, it's CHUD. It's an acronym. It's one of the first acronyms I ever remember. Like I would say CHUD and NASA were the first two acronyms I remember learning when I was a kid. The memories of me watching this with my mother are vivid. And she explained it to me, and my mother liked this movie a lot. I remember her explaining it to me and what CHUD was, and that we were going to, like, it came on Cinemax or something. Like I kind of remember late night, but it could have been, 8 o'clock at night, though, because, that's late for a kid. And, I give my mother credit for showing this movie to me, and even now, so many years after, I get to see it in like a different light and, practically see it for the first time because there was so much that was forgotten. The other times I saw this movie were probably all pickup times. I may not have finished it each and every time. And, quick side note, I don't think I ever owned this on, DVD when I had my huge DVD collection. Definitely not on VHS when I had my giant VHS collection. Which is interesting because it's so good. So hey, it's on. I'm pretty sure it's on Amazon Prime. Check it out on Amazon Prime. It's CHUD, and holy crap, there's a CHUD 2 called Bud of CHUD. I need to know what that's all about. I gotta see the follow up to this. But everyone, for the 31 Days of Dread, this is day 24. Thank you for joining me. Get ready for day 25 because we're doing Return of the Living Dead and then we're doing Prophecy. Let's rock and roll. Everyone have a good night.